Well, we got a lot of things to talk about today then.
Take me far away. I think I've had enough. I can't do no more. I'm finally breaking. You lost all my trust. I'm walking out. Don't let me keep taking me away.
My check. My God, it smells so bad. Let's go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the WOLVPVCK podcast, where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly topics that happens on a weekly basis here in the entertainment industry. I'm your host, Wolfson. Without further ado, let's get down with the shiznits, all right? So today's episode, we got quite a few topics. I don't know if we're going to talk about all of them, but I got them right here. There's some certain topics that I feel like it's better off if I talk about it next week. Because if next week there's nothing to talk about, then yeah, we fucking talk about it. Because these are just much more generic based topics that we can discuss it so we can hold it on. But these just happened in the span of this week and last week and at the end of last week after I air my episode. So these are just stuff that I want to talk about and cover. And I put it on an order on the things that we should definitely consider and discuss about it. Nothing bad that I heard for any EDM festivals like the Electric Forest, which is a good thing. The only thing that I've heard from the Electric Forest and other festivals that apparently are happening is they're being like shut down or canceled for a few hours or a day because of weather conditions. Yeah, like I saw certain videos in which I literally saw somebody flying. And it was heavy rain, thunderstorm. No, it was just a disaster overall. That's as bad as it gets. I so far haven't heard any injuries. And anybody can tell me otherwise. Let me know in the comments down below, or even tag me on Wolfson Music on any of my social media, as well as Twitter or Facebook, which is mostly or Instagram too. Yeah, where mostly that's where everybody is at. Just let me know I missed something. But yeah, so far which is good. So far in the EDM scene, nothing has bad since the Beyond Wonderland incident that happened. You know, rest in peace to those who tragically passed away for that incident. Their GoFundMe is being posted all around. So guys, go check that out. Nothing bad has happened. Lineups for the next upcoming festivals coming up at the end of the year, which is dope. A lot of bass hits are playing and this and that. So that's actually pretty cool. You know, check that out, guys. Yeah, guys, if you guys want me to cover a lot more of our scene, let me know and I'll dig up some stuff. Like, believe it or not, Twitter is my headspace for all the shit that happens in the EDM scene. Like, I didn't design like that. I didn't want it to be like that, but if I want to find some dirt or if I want to find some drama, I just go to Twitter, basically. But we're not going to Twitter today. We're going to see a few videos from ABBA and Preach, Coffeezilla, and Playback, if anything, and probably the Jamari. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. We're just reacting and then talking some of these things that really happened. Because, you know, when I first saw it for the first time, I'm just like, oh no, I need to put this in the podcast. We need to discuss this. This is just getting out of hand. So let's just start with Coffeezilla. So Coffeezilla basically uploaded a recent episode of him bashing Logan Paul again. For those of you who don't know who Logan Paul is, he's a worldwide known YouTube star or Disney star, and he's been unanimous famous for, you know, for the Prime energy drinks and also for now he's into like WWE. He's wrestling and shit, whatnot. He also is the one who boxes Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, so Logan Paul is one of those fans. He's also one of the impulsive content creators podcasts, but he's once again under more scrutiny because of his recent failed business. Now, those of you who don't know, I'm pretty sure we talked about a little bit about this in a few episodes earlier in this year. But Logan Paul was subject to like face a huge backlash because of a game that he decided to create, known as Crypto Zoo. Basically, you know, it's a fun game in which you get to invest crypto in it and this and that. What people didn't realize, that was all a scam, and he was the face behind it. You know, it was a scam because the people that he hired to do this crypto game and whatnot were real legit scammers, were legit criminals. You know. And they're under that investigation, and he was like the face of it. And he's like, I didn't know. I didn't know you had to do background check. Like, yeah, like that's on every other fucking job, including a legitimate business that you're running. You have to do fucking background checks. It's not word of mouth is like he's good without doing your due diligence. Just make sure that this guy is legit. But yeah, that's what's happening, you know. And over time, Coffeezilla has been calling him out for legitimate reasons because, like, dude, that guy legitimately stole from their investors, from fans, millions of dollars from their fans, and those fans are not getting their money back. So to resolve all of that, Logan Paul decided to, like, you know what, I'm sorry about this and that. I didn't know, blah, 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 blah. You know, lame ass apology, because at the beginning he was like attacking Coffeezilla about this. And he's like, how dare you say this? We're legitimate with that. And then it later comes out that there's more criminal records about these people. And he's like, okay, let me detach myself and say, I'm sorry to my fans. By saying sorry to our fans and acknowledging it, that's saying, I'm going to pay back the $1.8 million that was stole from this game crypto zoo. I'm going to give it back to the fans. So it's like, all right, this is back in January. Months after months after months after months about months after all this, Coffeezilla uploads a video saying, he hasn't paid back yet to his investors. Yeah. So we're going to take a look at this. Let me see. So this is the recent one. We're going to just start, like, take a look at it.
6 months ago, I investigated CryptoZoo, a scam created by Logan Paul and a team of criminals. Oh, and a dude named Jeff, which ultimately resulted in millions of dollars being stolen from fans. I was threatened with a lawsuit for exposing it, but ultimately, Logan Paul decided to thank me instead for his public undressing and announced a $1.8 million refund to the victims. Now, I thought that was a great ending to the story. But I also said this: I'll follow up in the future to make sure that he actually gives that money away. And that's why we're here today. It's been 6 months, so here's a follow-up. Logan Paul has not paid back his victims. He hasn't talked about it since he first announced he was going to pay them back. And what's worst of all, he doesn't seem to have a plan in place to refund anyone. How do I know that? Well, because I've been asking Logan for that plan to refund people the entire time behind the scenes in messages like these. Quote, hey, Logan, following up on the zoo refunds, when should people expect those? It's been about a month. And then a month.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, wow. Okay. You know, I thought this was just gonna be a video, you know, calling him out, see the hypocrisy and calling him out, saying that you haven't done shit. I didn't know he was gonna bring receipts with this. I didn't know he was gonna bring receipts. Yeah. Oh my God.
Later, following up again. People are wondering what's going on. Almost been 2 months. Very frustrating for victims to get promises and then see nothing and get zero communication.
Now, when I hear stuff like that, honestly, it just tells me that the guy is trying his best to dodge this, avoid this. Because, oh boy, I know a lot of people who ghosted me like this. And I can see the patterns right away. And it's because they don't want to do anything to do with me. I'm not going to call them out. Later in the future, when I'm more popular and famous, sure, when I have a bigger stream, I'll call them out. Name one by one on my list. And they can't do shit. Yeah, when they got receipts like this and you're trying to like reach out to somebody and they don't respond to you, and then half the time they respond to you, oh, my bad, I was just busy, I got a lot of texts. Yeah, we'll get down to it. That's because they saw it and they don't want to get down with it. They don't want to deal with it. Like, I know this. We all know this. So guys, if you're experiencing, say, or you know somebody's trying to scam you or try to ghost you, these are one of the signs. Zero communications, and they try to avoid you as much as possible.
And then later, hey, Logan, following up for a third time, it's been over 5 months since you promised to refund the victims of CryptoZoo over $3 million. I meant to say $1.8 million there. The price of crypto changed a lot, so what this buyback was going to be was constantly changing. I just misspoke there. Either way, my point was this, quote, you haven't contacted any of them, nor explained why you haven't done what you said you'd do. Meanwhile, you got public credit for promising to do this. And all of this, Logan didn't respond to, which is odd since he was such a fan of me reaching out to him personally, you know, instead of making things public.
Maybe we could have talked about this if you had reached out to me personally, not my manager, Jeff, who is not me, Steven.
Well, I did reach out to you and I got no response. In fact, the only response I got came on my 4th attempt to reach Logan, but this one came from his criminal defense lawyer. A guy named Jeffrey Neiman emailed me after my 4th attempt saying, Steven, see inserted on behalf of Logan Paul. Now, to be honest, I had no idea who Logan Paul was until I researched the lawyer and learned that he, quote, regularly defends individuals and corporations in white-collar criminal litigations. And that's when I realized, oh, that Logan Paul. Why didn't you just say you defended alleged white-collar criminals? Would have saved me a Google search. So I opened up the letter and it read, "We
Wow.
represent Logan Paul. Mr. Paul has informed us of your outreach about the status of the CryptoZoo buybacks. Mr. Paul remains committed to this process. We are working with Mr. Paul to evaluate the best way to achieve this goal. In the meantime, please direct to our attention any further inquiries to Mr. Paul. Thank you for your patience and understanding."
That just tells me that tells me a lot of things. One, he's in legal trouble right now in regards to this whole CryptoZoo scam, because for him to reach a criminal defense lawyer, that means he's legitimately in legal trouble with this. Second, it just tells me that he doesn't want to deal with Coffeezilla anymore, and what he's doing is trying to avoid as much as possible by telling Coffee to shut up. All right, here, I'll have a lawyer to talk to you. Like, you want to talk to me? Talk to my lawyer. Which is wild, because in that video that he posted is saying, like, if you want to talk to me, you got my information behind the scenes, talk to me personally. Don't talk to my manager. Don't talk to anybody else. Just talk to me. That's kind of very hypocritical of Logan to him to say that, because when you try to do that and you try to reach out, he gets no response. So it's like, so you're a liar and a hypocrite. Like, you try to sandbag me. You try to be a scumbag in this case. Like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Who are you trying to fool? And again, guys, I talk about this because, believe it or not, this shit really does happen on a frequent basis in the entertainment industry. Most likely in the music scene. You see this a lot more than you think. Whether it's dealing with promoters, whether it's dealing with managers, whether it's dealing with A&Rs, labels. Like, you deal with this all the time. I don't know. God knows how many times I have to deal with this shit. If I want to interview an artist and they say, yeah, I'm down, just talk to my manager, and all I get is trip from the managers. They don't respond to that. They don't email me back. And if they do, the few that they do, they say, yeah, they're kind of tight. Reach out to us like in a year. Like, the fuck? I got emails and shit. I can show it to you guys one of these days, but this is stuff that truly does happen. And it's because they don't want to deal with the repercussions, or they don't want to deal with this shit, and they want to avoid as much as possible. Problem is, eventually, shit will hit the fan, and you have to answer for your crimes.
Now, that might seem like a good step in the right direction to you. At least we got a response on behalf of Logan. But when I read their response carefully, I realized things were actually worse than I thought. Because two things are absent from this statement. One, a timeline for refunds, and two, a plan for refunds. Yes. You have this abominable statement which says, "We are working with Mr. Paul to evaluate the best way to achieve this goal." So you're still at the whiteboard then. Guys, this is a statement you say when you have no plan or you're stalling, right? You say, "We're evaluating the best options." I mean, that's where Logan was back in January. He was evaluating. Am I supposed to believe 6 months later, you guys haven't figured this out? You've gathered all the boys in the office, brainstorming every single day. How do we refund people? And you don't know? I mean, listen, he had more of a plan, Logan did, back in January. I'm not even sure what there is to even still figure out, because way back then, January 16th, he said, "I've committed more than 1.8 million for those who do not want to wait for CryptoZoo to be completed. Players will be able to burn their base eggs and base animals for their mint price." I mean, there it is. That's the plan. Pay a blockchain dev to code that up and pay the victims their money. That's it. But we see absolutely no sign of that. And it's not for a lack of Logan having the cash. He's on a world tour for Prime right now, bragging about how much money his drink company is making.
Only in January.
Yeah. Wow, 45 million is a good month. Also, January happens to be the same month Logan promised those CryptoZoo refunds. So there's no good.
All right. Wow. I have to give a little pushback to Coffee, because he's on the right, but there's one thing that I had to say. Wow, Logan, you really are an idiot. Why would you say how much you made a month's worth on whatever you're making? That's just an easy target for you. I was like, wait a minute. If you make 45 million, then why haven't you paid for the victims of the scam that you just did? You just take out 1.8 and that's it. You still got 43, 42 with you. What the fuck? That's what everybody's head. And believe it or not, I was thinking the same thing. The pushback that I'm gonna give, it says, sure, when he says 45 million that we made, you gotta have to understand another thing. When people say that I make this much this month, that's just what that's the number that was given. That's not the number that they're receiving personally. Because again, they say it's 45, but he has to divide those 45 with him and KSI. I don't know what his name. He has to divide that with KSI. He also had to divide that to some of the profits to the company of Prime. He has to divide that to with his legal team, his marketing team, his manager, and all that stuff. There's like a lot of subsidiaries that he has to divide. Sure, you can say I made 45, but those 45 are fake. It's an arbitrary number. That number gets reduced after you pay all your costs for everything that you've done with the Prime shit, you know? And once that's done, then you actually get your money, which is usually from 45. Sometimes they really get, personally, they get like 20 or even sometimes 10 or 5. That's how low the number they get. I know we discussed this about a few episodes ago about, you know, how much a real artists make out of music and how much they have to make. They had to be at Justin Bieber level for them to make at least $100,000, something like that. It's the same thing with some of these marketing stuff. Like you get a cut. That money, yeah, you get a cut. That's basically it. So I have to give a little bit pushback on Coffeezilla. That aspect and everybody else who believes is like, oh, 45 million, he can pay it off. Like technically he can, but it's not his money. It's other people's monies as well. So, but other than that, yeah, bro, like you announced it. You should never announce how much you make at all. Like I make 10 G's this month. It's like, no, dude, shut up. Don't announce it. You're basically becoming a target at that point. Also, third of all, if you really make that much money and you say you're gonna pay it back up, you could have just like easily just send the money right away, like Coffeezilla is explaining. Just what the fuck? I don't know what's the holdup in all this, but again, if there's a criminal lawyer, a defense lawyer defending Logan Paul or trying to tell Coffeezilla, hey, the reason why we're working on it, it's because I'm pretty sure he's more of a legal trouble that people will assume.
Explanation for why Logan hasn't refunded his victims yet, because he had a plan back in January. He had the money. But
and that's messed up. That's messed up. You had a plan and you made a promise to the fans. You do not complete this promise, you will lose fans like this. And you will be labeled as a huge scam artist and nobody wants to do business with you. You will lose momentum like that. It'll be Japan all over again, man.
Of a good explanation for why he hasn't explained himself for the delay to either me privately or to the victims publicly, who are just waiting around for months with no word about the status of their promised refund. Now, eventually, I do believe Logan will address this. I think he has to. And when he does, I think he'll probably point to a lawsuit that he's in for the reason he couldn't speak. He had to be silent. Right. Only he's tried this before, and it didn't make a lot of sense then either.
I had to rely on my team. I crumbled internally, and the advice was while actual legal process was going on because of criminal investigation taking place that Coffeezilla highlighted in his series, I had to stay silent. And for a year, I'm hounding Jeff. How do we make this right?
All right, let's get this straight. Logan was dying to make CryptoZoo right the first time, but was legally required to be silent until a YouTuber talked about it? Did the judge magically unseal his lips when my video dropped? I'm confused. He's not preventing.
He's not wrong. I mean, we saw it. He's on that legal processes. But yeah, like unless all this time, you have to shut the fuck up, Logan. If you're a court order and it's telling you can't talk about this stuff, why are you talking about it in your own show? Like that gives you more legal trouble. And Coffeezilla points that out. Like so it's only when I talk about it, that's when the judge says, okay, you can unseal some of these records. Like, yeah, a little hypocritical or lying in all this. I don't know. It's just if somebody tells me like you have the opportunity to make business with Logan Paul and you'll be a millionaire after you make millions with him right away, the first thing I'm gonna say is no, I will not. And the second thing I'm gonna say is because he has a bad reputation. That's why. It could be the stardom for my life. It could be. But because he has such a bad reputation, I am not willing to risk that.
From explaining himself, and he's certainly not legally prevented from giving people their money back. Even if you want to argue the point that maybe Logan might look more guilty if he promises to pay victims. Well, sure, but he already did that though. He said he felt so bad that he was going to refund $1.8 million to the affected people who invested. But actually delivering that promise doesn't add any layer of admission to that guilt. He already said he was responsible. At this point, refunding people is just doing what he said he was going to do from the beginning. No, I think the real reason Logan hasn't paid, if I had to guess, is just because either he does not want to pay, he cannot be bothered to pay on time, or he's just stalling, all of which are unacceptable.
I agree. Those are very valid arguments, those 3 points. And it's one of those things that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, those are very good points.
Because let me remind you of his promise. Quote, I have committed more than $1.8 million for those who do not want to wait for CryptoZoo to be completed. That is what he said, and the people are tired of waiting, including me. After months of trying to work behind the scenes and ask questions behind the scenes privately to him,
Just
I'm
like
out
he
of
said,
ideas,
mention
and I'm
it.
stuck trying to speak to Logan in the only language I believe he understands. Self-interest. Logan,
Yep.
if I could speak to you for a second. Okay, bring in the camera. This isn't worth your time. Getting publicly flogged like this every 6 months.
I
We're going to be
agree.
doing this in a year? No. Okay? It's not worth your time. It's barely worth my time. Just please pay the people back what you owe. Give them a real timeline, a real plan, and then we can all go back to pretending you've changed.
What are my thoughts about this? With the Coffeezilla that I'm glad that Coffeezilla is very consistent and he's true to his word and he's like pushing. I think what Coffeezilla is doing is accelerating the process. Because I'm pretty sure Logan is taking his sweet ass time out of those last 3 points that he made. He's probably stalling. He doesn't have the money or he doesn't want to pay and he's ignoring. Like, I'm pretty sure Logan is in very deep shit. And because Coffeezilla showed the receipts, like he's texting him like he said that he wanted to talk to. It's like, and I feel like Logan only responds by when his name is getting dragged in the mud, when his name is out there. And that's the only time he'll ever respond. And which is sad. Like, it's like, bro, that's the only time that you respond? What about the text messages, the calls? No. It's only when we talk shit about you and then you play the victim card, say like, oh, you should be man up and own it and talk to me instead of doing this. It's like, you know what? Then you should stop being a scumbag and stop being a scammer and respond to all those people that you stole from. Pay the fucking money back. You've got it. You're telling me that Logan Paul doesn't have money? Like, he lives in my island in Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico is pretty expensive. You're gonna tell me he doesn't have the money? He lives in Dorado. One of the counties in Dorado, he lives in the area where it's rich people because there's money behind it. There's like, and you live literally next to the beach. It's beach property at that point. You're telling me you don't have money? Like, get the fuck out of here. So you're going to lose like $1.8 million. Guess what? It's better to commit your promise to it than to look at you as a scammer, as an artist. And like I said, business-wise, this is not going to be good because when people see this shit, business owners, people who will want to invest on him, who want to put a sponsor on him, they're going to stay away from it. And then that's how you lose his business. That's how you lose momentum. And maybe it's because he's on the legal process like we talked about. But then again, keep us updated. All you have to do is just keep us updated every so often. It's like, hey, I know everybody's waiting, but it's okay. Look, I'm in the legal process right now. We'll explain later after it's done. Hey, but I've been scammed before when somebody owes me money and they'd be like, yeah, that's mine. Call next month. Yeah, like, no. It's like, I got robbed. Oh, okay. And then next month, yeah, I was gonna pay you, but like my car broke down, this and that. I didn't have the money. I'm like, motherfucker, it's just like $500 fucking dollars. Don't spend. Yeah, don't. I learned a long lesson, and it is like, do not borrow. Do not have people borrow you money because you're gonna see it as an investment. You're never gonna see that money back. Has happened to me, roommates and other people. Like, yeah, bro, like. It's shitty. It's like you get the 20 lame because then you gotta be mommy daddy on their asses to like, yo, where's my money? And it's like, fuck this. It ain't worth it, Yeah, guys. So my advice on that is don't borrow money unless it's your significant other. Don't borrow money from people. Don't give people money because basically you just give it that you're never gonna see that back. I'll pay you back. Yeah, sure. Unless it's people that you trust and they good with the money and they can give it back to you. That's a different story. Because I got family members that I send them money and they pay me back and vice versa. So it's like, no, they're good. I have a good family. It's only outside friends that, like, nah, fuck that. Oh, well, they're not friends. But the moral of the story in all this is Logan Paul, pay, you scam artists, pay the fucking money to all those investors that you scam out. Stop stalling. Stop being a bitch. Stop doing this. And yes, guys, what we're seeing right now from Logan Paul is not the first time that we've seen on anybody. This happens constantly in the music business. Constantly. And if you think the music business is that as bad as that, like, bro, you will see this on the TVs and film industry as well. Like, this is something well known. So guys, you guys got more questions about this, or you guys want to hear more about other scams that I've heard or talked about, let me know in the comments down below. Let's move on to the next topic. And I feel like we're not going to be talking about much about it, so that's fine. So, JustPearlyThings, the dumb grifter from the Red Pill community, is at it again. Why are we talking about this, Wilson? Why? I thought we weren't talking about red pilling for a while. I thought so too, until I saw this from Piers Morgan that she appeared. I don't know how the fuck she appeared to Piers Morgan, and she talked about these nonsense crap. So I guess we gotta talk about it, you know. And this is the type of stuff that I have to discuss about it in the Wolfpack podcast, because it's people like her, grifters, that get their voices out and people believe in their crap. But that's where I come in and say, like, guys, don't believe in this, because they're like Logan Paul, they're scammers, they're bullshitters, you know? So let's take a look at it. And, you know, this is a video that came from Aber and Breeze, so we're going to react to most of it. So here it is.
New York Post called her the female Andrew Tate. So she tapped into genuine female pushback to the excesses of wokery, or is she just an attention seeker? We'll find out in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the clip.
Attention seeker for sure.
A lot of people think I'm insane because I don't think women should vote. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for this opinion. If anything, this is probably my most extreme opinion.
That women shouldn't vote?
She belongs to the street.
You see what I mean? I've been her a grifter, being an idiot as well, a grifter idiot. Because it's stuff like this that she says that makes you look like, bruh.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
You do realize that women didn't have the rights until not too long ago. And then only when they have the right to vote or have women's rights to be equal, it paved the way for women like you to be in successful places where they are, like being the CEOs, lawyer firm partners, business partners, like heavy sits that they couldn't do it back in the days, because the highest they could go was being a secretary. And now influencers like yourself, now it wasn't for the women's rights and shit that they read about, I wanted to vote and all this, that paved the way for women like you to be talking all this bullshit crap.
Emotional, damn it.
Anyway.
5% of women are not virgins on their wedding days. So I understand.
How do you know this? How do you know this? It's 2023, and you cannot expect anybody to be a virgin on their wedding day. That ship went and sailed long time ago. So who cares about the sanctity of it? Like, who cares? As long as they care about each other, they love each other, that's all that matters. This is really fucking man. And we're gonna talk about that a little bit later, if we do. And 100% facts, if what you're saying is true, then you're not a virgin either. So I guess you don't qualify for that?
You serious?
And the complaint.
Okay, well, Paul joined us alongside political journalist Ava Santini. He was nodding furiously along there to everything she heard.
I hate this girl. This girl's always on fucking Piers Morgan's thing. She's so dumb.
You don't like her?
The girl beside Pearl?
You don't like her?
She like the feminist side of like the dumb side argument.
You don't like this?
No. She was there for like the Jordan Peterson stuff and some of the Andrew Tate debates. And like she just always had dumb takes.
Right, Paul, you'd be called.
Great. Two idiots talking on Piers Morgan. Great. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. One says outrageous shit, and the other one defends strongly against the outrageous shit, but says it in a dumb way.
She belongs to the street.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear in this. But all right, let's move on.
The female Andrew Tate. How do you plead?
Well, I take it as a compliment. I'm a fan of Andrew Tate.
Don't take it as a compliment. That right now is the worst time to say I'm the Andrew Tate of this world, this and that. Right now is the worst time, because Andrew Tate is facing legal charges of human trafficking.
She belongs to the street.
And scamming in Romania.
Nani?
So Charles have filed, and he has a court date and everything. Right now, you shouldn't be feeling proud about that.
You're talking about women predominantly, which is why you've got this big following. And your view is that modern feminism is deeply flawed. I would argue a lot of your proposals, like taking the vote away from women, are deeply regressive. Why would you want to remove, just from yourself, the right to vote?
Well, it also goes back to responsibility. Again, men.
I love how Piers Morgan puts that on the titles of what type of person she is, or the title of her person. She says, "Is feminism broken?" A controversial 26-year-old YouTuber says women should not vote. I heard everybody heard the age 26. Here's the thing, guys. Hold on. Let me put this on my perspective. Here's the thing, guys. Don't take this in the wrong way for anybody who's in their mid-20s. I'm in my early 30s. And it's true what they say. The older you get, the more mature, the more wisdom you learn from it. You know, you learn from past mistakes, past experiences, you know. I thought I knew everything once I became 21. I thought I became an adult. You really don't become a true adult until you start paying for yourself. That's when you become an adult. And even then, sometimes, even if you start paying for yourself, taking care of yourself, even then, you don't really become an adult until you act like one. Like you mature enough to start acting like one. And it's sad to say that there's people that are in the mid-20s that don't act like adults. They still act like little children and shit. Like, which is like, wow, like grow the fuck up. And I'm not gonna say like I was there, but it's like I feel like I mature a lot more faster. Some of my friends mature as well as me. And we don't do dumb shit like that. But when you hear people, it's like, again, I keep saying this. Why are we listening and giving platforms of 20-year-old people that say this is how life works and this is how life really works? Why the fuck are we giving them platforms to those people who barely scratch the surface of life? I'm talking about the Sneakos of the world, the racist Nick Fuentes. Who is the Zerka, the fucking Armenian guy who barely knows anything about it, the Correntis, the Bruce, the streamer Bruce, the iShowSpeed, the K-Senets, and fucking JustPearlyThings. Why are we giving platforms to these people, voices, and listening to their advice when they're barely in their mid-20s? And they talk they talk as if like they got the experience and they know how life really works. No, they don't. They barely scratch the surface of life. I find I had an understanding of how life really works. And it wasn't until when I moved here 10 years ago that I started to see, holy shit, life, it really takes a turn. And then the older you get, you start to see like, holy fuck, this is how our life really works. A wise man learns from his own mistakes. A wiser man learns from other people's mistakes. And the wisest man learns from both. I'm trying to become the wisest or the wiser man. And I feel like I pretty much lived a good life to be on that position. And I'm trying for my followers, you guys, my fans, my audience, my listeners to become the wisest, man. I want you guys to be more wiser than me. It's because you have people like her and Sneeko and all these idiots that talking out of their asses and they're influencing young people, making them think a certain way. And that's why people are coming out backwards and idiots and not amateurs. And they talk out of their asses with their saying stuff that I know how life really works. It's like, no, you don't. You barely made a quarter century of your life and you're already saying like this is how life works? Like, nah, bro. I'm in my 30s and I still try to figure out how life works. That's me, and I'm already got my shit all together. You guys, and just because you guys have all the money in the world, that's how you know how life works? Like, no. There's more than that meets the eye, guys. I'm sorry. It just creams my corn when I hear idiots like her talking on big shows and we're giving them the platform to talk so they can say more nonsense shit. It just shows them how immature they truly, really are.
Are 80 to 90% of the military. They run all of the infrastructures that make society run. So I just think if we want an equal say in society, then be equal. Do 50% of the hard jobs. Be 50% of the military. In the U.S.,
I think the whole argument about, men do the more dangerous jobs, so they should be the only ones to vote is so dumb to me. Because I'm like, I'm in the military and I'm doing the more dangerous job. Why should you, a male who's a civilian, not do a dangerous job, get to vote the same as me? Forget women. I don't give a f. The only people in your world, if we're using your logic to the extreme, why should a dude who shares the same fucking genitalia get to vote just like me if he's not doing the same job? I'm out there on the front lines dying, right? If I'm doing the military job, why should a fucking civilian be the one to tell me who I'm going to go kill and vote by voting? Why should anybody who doesn't do a hard job? But she doesn't think that because her logic, it's only gendered, okay? And it's only meant to appeal to men. That's how she plays for her team. There is no reason to explain this difference.
Even someone that goes on to war. Not everybody that goes to war is equal. I am sorry.
No.
Special forces cooks on a boat and generals
Yeah.
is not the same fucking danger.
Let's go.
Exactly. Army Rangers are not the same as the Marines. Marines are not the same as the Air Force. The Air Force is not the same as the Navy SEALs. The Navies are not the same as any other admirals and generals and 5-star, like people are in their command posts. Like, yeah, guys.
Oh, let's talk
So
about it.
if you're on the field,
Yeah.
you get 3 votes.
Yep.
If you're on the field, but you say on the boat, you get 1.5 votes. If you're a general, you get 75% of a vote.
Listen, let's be honest about this.
Yeah.
Danger or difficult jobs is the metric by which then there's a lot of men who don't get to vote. And what about the women who go to the military and they do the dangerous jobs too? Should they be allowed to?
Thank you. So you're telling me, Pearly, just if you're telling me that women should not vote and like they should go into the military, you're telling me that you want to go ahead and have some of the women that are in the military, and so that way they're the only one who vote. What about the women that are already in the military? Are they allowed to vote according to your logical sense?
What about any woman who does a job which involves a lot of death? Should she be allowed to vote? She's not making a coherent logic.
How
based on
about
merits.
police?
It's just
Being a
genuine
police,
nonsense. I
that's
just
not
don't understand that. If
dangerous?
it's just going to be about dangerous work, make it about that. Say that the people who put their lives on the line should have the most amount to lose. And I could at least get behind that.
Ava, your mouth seems to have dropped
No,
about
do you know what it
everything.
sounds like?
I know.
It's just sort of a bit galaxy brain. I feel like, the stats that you're putting down are perhaps correct in some universes.
Which stats?
They just kind of don't really add up. I mean, just to take you back to the to the women's writings that you've allegedly read. I mean, at the time-
Allegedly?
well, at
What do you
the
mean
time-
allegedly?
No.
Just let the people talk.
You know, Pro want to make fun of feminists saying they're so masculine, but you're the one that can't shut the fuck up when someone else is talking. She let you speak. Pro want to tell everybody how they're to be white, but here you are, you can't shut the fuck up. You want programs, putting yourself front and center, want to make the most amount of money. Hey, I'm just saying, you're the opposite of everything you preach. And every chance, you still fuck it up. Shut up, let her speak. It's crazy that the feminist seems more feminine, letting her speak, speaking softly.
She hasn't said
Girls
a
just,
word.
allegedly. Relax,
that
man.
you're talking about, women weren't really allowed to write. They weren't allowed to go to school.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. That's
I-
incorrect. The first
Okay,
female
well, yeah,
property, the first female property owner was in the 1600s. The idea that women couldn't work.
What? What?
I'm so sorry, but that would be inherited property.
The first female millionaire was in the late 1800s.
And was that
Yeah, this is how you know Pearl is like such a disingenuous clown. They're both wrong about this. Could women work in the 16th century? Yeah, but it was limited jobs. Stuff like weaving and things that were already related to housework. And even then, they didn't have equal pay for this stuff. No. They didn't have any labor rights. They weren't even allowed to dictate any kind of workplace, anything the same way that men could. And they weren't allowed to occupy most occupations or jobs. I'm not even talking about stuff that required physical work. Just any job they weren't allowed to have. It was very, very limited. So Pearl sitting here like, no, the women could work. They couldn't even choose higher education. They couldn't go to university. They couldn't do any of this stuff. It was quartered off to them by their gender.
Yeah, but the first homeowner was in the 1600s. You know what I mean? How did she get that house?
It makes me think of that time where Pearl brought up that study that said women find men who do chores really unattractive. And it's like a study from the 1991.
In the Cosmo?
Yeah, in 1991. Even though she got more recent studies, she's going to go to the only number that basically jives with what she want to say. And then she's going to say, I do my research. Like, no, it's fine to concede on this point. Yes, women were second-class citizens in the 16, 17, 1800s. It's okay. A lot of rights came after, in fact.
It's just Pearl doing just Pearly things.
Hey, listen.
Let's get on to the vote. So what I don't understand is, a part of your message, I've researched you today, and hang on a minute.
Okay.
Your big push is that you care about men and you don't think that men are getting enough of a say. But
I care about
hang
women
on,
too.
I haven't
I care
made the
about
point
women
yet.
I've seen her, the girl did not interrupt her.
Bro, it's annoying. And you know what? This is a tactic that a lot of conservative debaters and a lot of red pill people do. When you're trying to make them a good argument, a good point, then they will interrupt you all the time. Not because they're afraid that what their point is gonna trump their points. It's that's one of them. The other reason is because they want to make sure you lose your chain of thought, so that way you stumble your point, and then they can just alley-oop and dunk over yours. It's a tactic that they do this so often. It's so fucking annoying because then when they're talking and you're trying to like talk, try to say something like that, you say, "Excuse me, I'm talking. Don't interrupt me." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, okay. Wait. That's not true. Wait, hold on. I didn't interrupt you, so you don't get to interrupt me." It's the hypocrisy that comes out of them, bro. This is a tactic that they do.
For a single time, and she's interrupted her 5-6 times.
That was her point. I can't fucking.
Pearl State being the best feminine girl I know.
Because of feminism, okay? What I wonder is when you start making calls out like repeal the 19th, women shouldn't be allowed to vote, how is that helping young men? Because these young men have women in their lives, they have mothers, they have sisters, they have teachers, and they turn around, they don't know how to act around women because you're giving them license to be misogynistic.
I wouldn't call it
Facts.
like I say be equal. So again, men do all of that. Well, then okay, I'd love for the feminists, please apply for the oil rigs. Please go do the hard jobs in society. They're open, they're hiring, because I don't equate for, I don't think men or women are equal until we do the equal work.
Apply for the oil rigs, JustPearlyThings. If you're talking about, equals isn't, then just work on an oil rig then. Work on a construction. Why are you talking about in the TVs? Just work. Oh yeah, I forgot. She comes from money. Her family is wealthy with millions of properties and castles. I totally forgot. She's a rich, spoiled girl. I totally forgot. That's why she doesn't that. So she's just talking out of her ass just to get some attention. She's just a spoiled idiot.
Pearl bringing up the whole equality thing is like, maybe I'm just not aware of what's being said in these circles, but it's not like women don't contribute to our society in terms of the workforce. I think women account for it's like 1/3 of the country.
Wow, look at that.
So in terms of economic contributions, in terms of their work, they're a huge contributor. If women were to do what Pearl wants them to do, which is go home, stay there, be housewives, don't have jobs, whatever the fuck it would be, the economy would collapse. Like women are like integral to the workforce. So imagine looking at people who contribute so much and saying, we're going to deny you the right to have any say in the country's future. Does that even seem remotely fair to you guys? Does it make sense by her logic when she says only the people who do the extremely hard jobs and the difficult stuff are the ones who should get the right to vote and do anything? Then does it make sense to those people who are doing those jobs to see men who aren't doing those difficult jobs also get a right to vote?
But you want divorce to be made illegal.
Yes.
Why?
And that's a very, very stupid reason. Make divorce illegal. I think we covered this with Evan Klein when he interviewed her, which is, like I said, like she's just an idiot when she's the explanation to it. But let's hear her explanation on Piers.
Yes, because I don't think what we have today is really marriage. What is marriage? It's for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. That's what marriage is supposed to be. But feminists have ruined marriage for the people that actually believe in marriage.
How?
When there's a 50% divorce rate and the average marriage
Why is it all
is
down
8
to the
years.
women?
I didn't say that it was all down to the women.
Why
you asked why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah.
Can I finish that first? So
I heard absolutely nothing. All I heard is like blah, blah, and blah. Why women? Why the feminists? Why are you blaming feminists? That I'm trying to get to the point. I'm like, okay, make the point because I still don't understand why.
I'm a bitch.
She's like, can I finish?
The audacity.
How'd you let anybody finish?
The audacity of a bitch that don't let nobody finish. My guy.
Hey.
Press play.
My masculine homie.
Leave marriage for the people that actually believe in for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
Doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin? So you wouldn't be able to get married.
NANI?
What?
Emotional damage.
Yo! What did I say at the beginning of this topic?
Bruh.
I'm fucking psychic. What did I just say about this topic? I didn't know that feminist was gonna attack JustPearlyThings with a right hook for the knockout.
Gotcha, bitch.
Bro!
She belongs to the street.
No. I need to listen to this one more time.
For poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
Doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin? So you wouldn't be able to get married.
That was petty.
Let's go.
That was petty.
Tell me you're a whore.
Homegirl didn't want to make any arguments. He said, we going petty.
Yeah.
I'm mad at you.
I looked it up.
Because I enjoy it.
You not a virgin.
Also, I hate whenever fucking Pearl says these vows because they involve so many other things.
Yeah.
And she never mentions that.
She
never talks about the labor involved in marriage.
What did I say earlier?
Yeah.
That's the remix.
And also, Pearl's fine with men stepping out of the marriage. Christianity allows for divorce in case of adultery.
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly about how you're not a virgin. And so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage, then, I just think that you're upholding standards that you don't agree with.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yo, the producers, they ain't shit, bro. Oh my God, Piers Morgan, you ain't shit. Yo.
Anyone here for some biscuits?
This
dude just went back and watched it.
Petty. You know what's so funny? There's actually a clip that's so hilarious.
What?
You look at men, right, in terms of like their viability. You look at men and say, he's a high value man, he's a medium value man, he's a low value man, right? And we can say that. We can put men into those categories.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's say you're in the dating field, right? You're looking for a partner, right?
What do you mean?
I mean, you're single.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It's a legitimate question. Why you have to like hesitate with it? Again, being in the space, she was spacing now, and she was just like attacked. She didn't knew she was gonna. Again, they switched to now from Piers Morgan because I guess like there's much talk about. You guys can check out the full clip of it. And they switched back to Ian Frank for something that she mentioned about the sanctity of the marriage and shit like that. So now they're talking about like you're single woman, and she's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Are you looking for people as have it?" So now she's just trying to be. She's trying to act like an idiot now.
Well, essentially, I guess, and you're looking for a significant.
Maybe not.
Okay.
Just Manly thinks is single.
Just Manly.
Okay.
So, if you're looking for men, if a man who is willing to settle, let's say you're not that old, but you're 26, and you say that anyone over 25 is like a almost damaged goods or getting worse and worse.
No.
It's less valuable. It's less valuable.
Correct. Yes, I would say I was more valuable 5 years ago. Yes, in terms of the dating market. Yes.
So do you think that, how can somebody who's older and not a virgin and less valuable, how can they get in a relationship with a man and not think they're a loser? Because if you're a low value woman, then in a sense, you'd be judging the guy who's quote unquote settling for you because he couldn't get a higher value woman. So in a sense, a guy that you would settle for would be a loser by your own metrics. Low value.
Well, what are men supposed to do? 95% of women aren't virgins on their wedding days. You could be a multimillionaire and not get a virgin. How do you? I think that's why you see more men walking away from relationships.
No. How do you enter a relationship and not think that he's a loser because he's low value?
Oh,
I don't really know how to answer that question.
But it is interesting, right? Because in a sense, only a low value man, and I'm sorry, I'm only framing this in your worldview. Let's say a medium value man would decide to settle on somebody like you who's a little bit older, not as fertile, you're not a virgin. And also, I'll tell you something else. You like being in the foreground, which is not good for traditional marriages. I mean, he's looking for someone who wants to build a home. You don't know how to cook.
Yeah, I don't expect to be with like a high value guy. I think that's silly.
Okay. What's your
when I think of high value, I think of like top 5% of men.
So what value do you think you'll be settling on in your own?
Yeah.
What?
This is the most petty thing, but he's not wrong. But this is petty. But I'm here for it.
What value will I be settling on in my
what man do you think is reasonable for you to pursue?
I just I think that's a bit of an inappropriate question. But
wait. It's an inappropriate question? How's that inappropriate? He's not asking you how many guys are you willing to have sex with until you've really found the high value right. He's not asking you anything strategically that's gonna involve with something very personal. He's just generally asking, like, what is it that you consider to have somebody in your life as to be a high value man or low man? Like, what is it that you're trying to look for a man? If you're ever gonna go out and get married, what is it that you try to get? Because again, we're going by your logic, your reasoning, right? Right. So with your logic and reasoning, what is it that you're trying to look for a man? Like, what is it that Pearly wants on a man? So that way we can understand what is it that you're trying to defend or what you're trying to value, you know? That's not being personal and that's not being attacked. That's just you like saying like you don't have an answer for it.
Inappropriate? Pearl. You call women born out baby mamas. You be asking women on your show all kinds of things about their dating lives and their dating preferences.
Oh.
That's your fucking job.
And now shit is...
Now it's turned on you. All of a sudden you want to start stuttering?
That shit is inappropriate now.
Inappropriate. Girl, have you seen your channel?
I gotta give it to that. It's true. Like if you see some of her interesting takes, a wild takes, like, I mean, the first inappropriate thing that she said is like women should not vote. That's the first inappropriate thing. That alone should say a lot. And then she's fat shaming women. She's also doing saying gnarly things. She's saying like, oh, you're not a virgin. You're a prom star. Yeah, you're never gonna get married. You're never gonna find. Oh, you just violate the sanctity of a man. This and that. She's just she talks out of her ass, and she talks like literally bulldozing women like that constantly. Those are inappropriate comments. But somebody asks you something that's not that inappropriate. I believe that's not that permanent. Maybe a little bit personal, but it's not inappropriate. And all of a sudden it's like, I don't want to answer it. Get the fuck out of here, you hypocritical idiot.
Damn, I've heard you call women whales to their face, say they're unfit to be wives, say they're unfit to this and that. And now it's you?
Like, what happened, boo?
Baby, you built the chair, now sit in it.
Exactly.
I don't like ottomans either.
It's interesting because you spend like all day talking about this stuff. I find that it's really interesting to have you and put this analysis into you.
The way you're framing the question is a bit disingenuous.
How?
I think most women, and you know,
how is it disingenuous?
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah, I think it's a bit disingenuous.
Why?
Okay.
See, this is the thing about Pearl. If you just ask follow-up questions and try to dig deeper in anything she says, it falls apart. She just says buzzwords.
What did I say, guys? I hate when I'm right. What did I just say? I've said this plenty of times. When people talk out of their asses and they try to rebuttal with talking points and they just start falling apart, it's because they got nothing to counter it. They got nothing to go. They just say words without even thinking of what they say. When they counter those words, they just would go, you know what? Let's move on to the next one because I'm not comfortable. This is the mechanism of some of these conservatives and red pill people do. They hit you with the title, the one that hits the punches right in the face. But when somebody tries to counter it and throws a little jabs on top of it, all of a sudden they fall out. They fall out, and they have nothing else to talk about.
Her whole Twitter is just buzzwords. Everything says is buzzwords. She got the surface level argument like a fucking robot. She got prompt 1, prompt 2, prompt 3. That's why whenever he asks a follow-up question to go deeper, she just defaults back to her talking points. Like, well, no man can find a woman who's a virgin. Even millionaires won't be able to. It's like, we're not talking about them. Well, why are you changing the subject? It's because she doesn't actually think through anything she says.
Exactly.
And that's actually reflected in her audience because her channel is dying. And it just turns out her audience, after listening to her for a while, just realize she's a robot and she's really dumb. But you don't see it until you actually start to peel back and listen long enough. You're like, wait, this doesn't make sense. So now she's being exposed everywhere.
Like, I think it's fair to say, because you were talking to women about expectations and men about expectations based on their value. I think it's fair to say, okay, well, what's your value of man you're looking for based on your own, based on your own.
What's my value to a guy that I'm looking for?
What value of
like,
man?
I wish, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I wish I was a virgin. You know, I should have waited.
No.
Like, I don't know what, like, I don't.
That's not what he's asking. He's not asking whether you're a virgin or not. He's asking, like, what type of men are you looking for? What is it that you value? Like, what is it that what type of men that you're looking for? Because the way you're saying things, it's like you preach about a certain thing. So you say that you preach about this, but then we turn around and we look at you and you're looking for this. And it's like it contradicts of what you're preaching. So what is it that you're trying to, we're trying to understand. And all you're trying to do right now is falling apart because you have no answer. Why you have no answer? Because you don't believe on anything that comes out of your fucking mouth.
I don't, most guys don't expect that in 2023, unfortunately.
Get the fuck out of here with these cop-out answers.
I think to say that you should just sleep around.
So then, that's what you're saying. So if men have adapted and you don't really care, then why are you still bringing this fucking shit up? Why are you telling women they're wrong if they're not virgins? Men don't care.
She a hoe? You a hoe too?
Yeah. You out here spreading all kinds of nastiness. Don't even play that.
Is a bit silly.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking.
Like that you were saying that like that more partners is good. I think that's a bit silly.
Okay,
I think it's silly to say like that.
I'm talking about you. Your value by your own metrics is going to be not super high.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's higher than it was 5 years ago.
But it's not even just the age thing. It's like you are working. You're in the foreground. You don't know how to cook. These are not good things for your scorecard.
Hey, I'm pretty good now. I've gotten.
You have a cook. Okay, good. You're working towards it, but unfortunately, as you age, those things are going to bounce out.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like you start in a certain place in life, but all you can do is improve and get better.
Wow, so progressive.
Wow.
Oh my God.
No.
See, Pearl, when she's past her prime and her value's low, what did she say? She started sounding like them women.
I'm better. You can improve. No, my girl, you didn't improve.
Bro.
It's too late.
According to you.
It's according to you.
But like, how do you meet a guy that you respect because he's settling on you? Don't you see that there's a paradox here?
I mean, if you respect men, you don't.
But how are you going to settle for a low value man? Because like that is like, dude, come on.
A low value man.
A low value man.
I think if you get married, you're lucky to get married.
How would you? So where's your value as a woman? Would you say like on a scale of 1 to 10?
I give myself like a 5.
Facts.
You're definitely below a 5, to be honest. You're not that pretty. I'm gonna stop right there because we're running out of time, and there's one more topic that I want to cover because I did say there's several topics, but we only landed on 2. We're gonna land on a third one. It's gonna be a longer. I'll probably cut it a little bit and it'll be better. But just run up with what just Pearly dumb things. When you present evidence and counter arguments to certain words that you were preaching, these people will just fall apart because they got nothing else to talk back. They just don't. You literally give them certain facts and they're like, they fall apart. We just see her twice, her on Piers Morgan and on Even Klein one more time. And all that Even Klein was trying to do is, okay, then what type of man are you following? And all we get for her is cop-out answers. So what's the moral of this topic? What are my thoughts? Here's the thing. Don't be like Just Pearly idiot. Don't be a grifter. Don't be a grifter like her. And don't be an idiot when you're don't assume that people that you know more than people. That's a very dangerous mindset because you never know if people actually have much more intellectual capacity to counter argue all your points. And if you have certain points and you have a certain belief system, you better have stuff to back things up. Because when the moment that people start to reach out to you and start counterpointing your arguments, you better have stuff to counter back those same arguments back for. But don't be like on a cop-out answers and saying things that fall flat like Just Pearly Things did. Like I said, don't be a grifter like her because we just heard it from Adam Breach. Shout out to them. Her channel is dying. Her channel is dying because I'm pretty sure people are starting to realize how dumb she really is. And she has nothing to show for. She has nothing to add value to this world. So yeah, no, like I have nothing else to say because it's just more dumb arguments. I bring this up for my audience and my listeners and my followers. It's because please do not be like her and do not listen to people like her. People who are like at those ages, if you're older than that person and they're saying shit that they know more than you do, I highly suggest you stay away from them, because 9 times out of 10 they don't know shit what they're talking about. Not to say that there's people that know more than me, because there's definitely producers who are much more skillful than me, and they're getting way higher at reach than I ever had. I would not that's different, because they're good at their talents and they know what they're talking about, because that's what they study, that's what they work for. But when it's people like these people that talk out of their asses and believe that they have the secret to life, and they just barely scratch the surface to life, that's where I like stay away. When it's technical things, like when it's like probably technical things like production, engineering, and other things, then fuck, I will learn from them, because it's like, holy shit, they know their shit, and they back it up. That's the thing. They back their talk. They back their shit. That's why I can fuck with that. But when it's people like them that they don't back up their claims and they don't have a legitimate reason, all they talk about is statistics and what I heard from this person, this and that falls flat. You should never listen to people like that. All right, stay away from that. Last topic that we're gonna talk about very quickly. Recently we got a situation with Ep29. For those of you who don't know who Ep29 is, he's the main host for the No Jumper podcast and No Jumper channel. He had a few fallouts recently during the year about saying certain things, and people start losing working with him. They don't want to work with him anymore because he was acting a certain way. It was all behind the scenes, and then it was made it public into the podcast. I don't know what to think of it. It's just it's no longer the same. Some people did stay, some left. So the recent drama that we're hearing right now from him is that he recently got married with his wife, who happens to be a prom star named Lena the Plug, and they had they have a channel which is called the Plug Talk Show, which her and Adam, they talk to all these prom star women, and they talk, and then after that, after the shoot, they start having sets with each other. So basically, it's a threesome for Adam. That's what it is. So he got into that space and whatnot, and they have a daughter, but the way before. But it's wild to think about that. And then right now they got recently married, and now they're catching heat because this whole time Adam was messing around with the women and her, but he never let any dude ran over her girl up to this point after their marriage. So she finally got her first BBC.
NANI?
Yeah, it's kind of messy, honestly. I'm not gonna play the video. It's kind of messy in reality because that made Adam more of a cook or a pussy, and everybody started to call him out because it's like, dude, like you let a big black dude ran over your girl, and he's like, well, you gotta understand, like I ran on other women like that. And I was like, all right, it's all fair in games, because she probably have felt a certain way when he was running her and her porn star friends or colleagues, and he was saying, like, don't mess with any other dudes. And after their marriage, he allowed her to mess doing the first dude is a big BBC guy. I'm like, ooh. I'm like, damn, bro. So he's on a drama train. And at first he was saying he wasn't cool with it. It was but then when I saw it, and then I was like, you know what? It's cool. I'm okay with it. I don't know. I feel like it's not the same when men do it to women and then men do it to women and women do it to men. God, it's not the same. It's two different emotions. Like, it's easy to say that, yeah, I understand what my girl's coming from, and she wanted to try it. She wanted to explore her prom star world, and I let her run the dude. And I'm like, my God. And this drama all stemmed from that, because now everybody and their mothers are making fun of Ep29 for it. And he's like trying to hop in that train just to like saying weird stuff in Twitter. Like, I feel like he's trying to like, yeah, I'm a cock. If that's what it means to be a cock, then I'm a cock. I'm a millionaire cock, whatever. Okay, I get the jokes, this and that. Like, all right, I'm a simp for my girl, for my wife, apparently, but I'm a millionaire. That's the attitude he's going for. And you know what? It kind of sounds like you're a broken heart, man. It kind of sounds like you're butthurt that you got that your wife is being ran over. Because here's the thing. I understand when it comes to being a boyfriend and girlfriend and have an open relationship. I understand that. But once you're committed and you put the ring in it, it's like that shit, it's different, man. I'll feel a certain way if I have somebody ran over my wife. Like, I can't. I don't. It's, to me, that's not healthy. And this is something that also Destiny has with his wife. He has an open relationship with his wife, and they're okay to sleep around as long as there's boundaries, I guess. I have my mixed feelings about open relationships, especially when they're married, because, okay, sure, if they're happy, whatever. But I don't believe that. Deep down inside, I feel like it's a facade, and deep inside, there's gonna be a moment in which somebody's gonna get hurt, and it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be like that for sure. So this whole Adam 22 thing is like, it's not gonna look bueno, man. I don't know how to respond to that. All I know is that it's a messy, man, and I don't know how he's gonna bounce back from that. That's all I'm gonna talk about the Adam 22 situation. Anybody else wants to know more, you can check on their website to see. You can check on Jamari and Playback. They'll tell you much more deep down. I'm not gonna talk much about it because it's just like it's just another man's personal shit that they should never put it out there. That was also a mistake, putting people's business out there in the public. But we're gonna wrap it up from here. We're gonna talk very quickly of what's coming up this weekend. If not this weekend, the next weekend. Anime shows that are coming this week is, Rurouni Kenshin is coming back on our beautiful visuals. Bleach Part 2 is coming back as well, and Jujutsu Kaisen as well. Ooh, I'm so happy for this weekend. It's gonna be binge watching all this stuff, you know. And lastly, video games. I'm playing Final Fantasy 16, and let me tell you guys, I hear that there's like mixed reviews about this game, but in all honesty, I'm loving it, and it's my own bias of why I'm loving it, because I love the action RPG style game. Like they did it on Final Fantasy 7 Remake. I love that style. And I get a lot of fans are upset because it doesn't feel like the classic Final Fantasy, which is like a turn-based, and it's not true to RPG. But the game is not for everybody. That's for sure. The game is not for everybody, but personally, for me, I'm loving it. And I'm loving the visuals. I'm loving the voice actors, loving the the battle sequence and whatnot. It's actually pretty cool and fun to play. I love it. Sure, it could be a bit of a hack and slash, but you know what? That's my style of game, and I love it. That's why I'm loving playing this game. You know, it's a lot of hours I'm committing into it. There's still a lot more. I'm trying to avoid the side quests as much as possible because it's like, you know, I feel like the way I'm playing, I can battle through. It'll be challenges, but you know what? I'm happy with it. You know, so guys, check that out, and we're gonna wrap this up, guys. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, every week is a brand new episode with brand new topics. So remember to like and subscribe for your weekly episodes at youtube.com/The Lone Wolf Podcast or at Lone Wolf Pod, when you can check all my latest episodes of the Lone Wolf Podcast and the Wolfpack Podcast. Also, you can check the audio versions at Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts for the Lone Wolf Podcast or Wolfpack Podcast, guys. Comment down below and let me hear your thoughts, share your experiences. If you guys got a specific topic, please let me know on the comments down below, or even at me at Twitter or DM me on Instagram and to tell me what topics you want me to talk about, and I'm gonna do my best to cover it on the next episode. So guys, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. All right, peace.